All right, welcome back. So with this next piece, what we're going to do is do a pretty simple walk cycle. It's going to go fairly quickly for a walk cycle. What you're going to want to do is maybe finesse this a little bit better, but we'll just basically go through like how we would set key poses and where to set key poses. And so from there, we'll get a basic walk cycle going, and we'll see the cycle moving and how we go about animating inside Maya. Like I said, this is an intro to Maya class. This is not. It's going to be pretty simplistic, okay? But you'll have an understanding of how to set keys and do those kinds of things if you were to do a full out animation or whatever you're trying to accomplish. Okay, so you can take this character and now you can like try and do like a fight or a hit or something like that. But you'll have an understanding of how to set those keys and do that. So, but first off, we're going to just do a simple walk cycle, and so we'll go through that. And what I want you to do, so instead of using instead of overwriting our sphere biped.maya file, so we're just going to make sure that we have our latest scene saved. Okay, so we just have that latest scene, and then also I want to go and go to animation. Okay, so under the animation workspace, we can drag this down just a little bit so we have that graph editor. And then I'm actually close my outliner and leave that up kind of like so. Okay, so with this, we'll just make sure that we have our scene saved. And then what I want you to do now is to create a new scene. So a new blank scene. We don't have anything in this file at all right now. So what we're going to do is create a reference. Okay, so with that, we're going to say create reference. So file, create reference, and then we're going to go to our actual, so we're going to go to wherever our file is located. And I know that mine is located on my D drive and work, 3D Gen Toolkit, and Maya, and then so sphere biped, and then I'm just going to reference. So that will bring that file into the scene here in a second. There we go. Okay, so now we have this is currently under a namespace, and I'm not sure that's what I want. So let's go and do File, New Scene again, and then go to Create Reference, Option Box, and then I want to say uncheck Use Namespaces, because I don't really want that in the namespaces. That way we can see our actual objects named exactly what they should be named. Makes it a little easier to find, and you're not looking through and sorting through a bunch of different stuff. So this just helps with that. So now, so why am I still seeing a namespace here? So let me just, so reference editor, so sphere biped. Okay, so it is throwing on the sphere biped for so I'm going to do another new scene, don't save, file, create reference, and I don't, so I'm just making sure that this is load saved reference, shared nodes, display layers. resolve all nodes with this string. So I think this string will be 0, nothing. Let's check that. It's kind of chugging. Should give us a, nope, still just putting sphere biped, world control. So hips control, chest. Yeah, that should be, we'll work with this. But the reason why with referencing is that if you were to go into, say, the other file and make any changes, so say you did like a change to the rig, or you added some eyes, or add anything, I would add that on the other file, and I can kind of show you exactly how that will come up. But so with this, so we just have this our sphere biped character, and he's going to just basically be in this world right now. So to go over animation, so this is going to be our timeline here, and this is going to be at our frames per second, what we're going to work at. So if we keep this at 24 frames a second, we just need to think it at 24 frames a second. So 1 second is going to be 24 frames, 48 would be 2 seconds, and so you want to think in 24 frames per second, okay? If you do change to 30 frames a second, which most game engines are using 30 frames a second, film uses 24, and games use 30 and 60, so you try and think of those frames. So if you count things out to yourself, so say 1 step, 2 step, 1 step, 2 step, okay? It's like almost 2 steps. It might be 1 second to kind of get 1 step, or like you're taking just 1 step, 2, almost you're just doing that 1, 2, 3, 1. You want to kind of count it out, right? So 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. You just kind of figure out your timing that way, and then you can tweak as well. Okay, so what I want you to think about is just if you are going to work in 30 frames a second, that's what you want to work at, is 30 frames a second. So what I'm going to actually do, so most walk cycles are going to be about 24. We'll start with 30. Okay, we'll do a 30 frame walk cycle, and we'll just see what it looks like, if it's too slow, if it's too fast. But what this does is we can actually see. So I'm just setting these start and end keyframes. So 0 being the start frame, 30 being the final frame. Okay, so what we can do, so to set keys, okay, so if we are going to, let's start with the root of the character. So once we select that root of the character, we can kind of look at this. Let's look at this from the left view. So he's facing this way forward to the right. Okay, so from here, if we select this guy, and we're going to set just kind of like our first frame, so where he's kind of leaning into his walk here. Okay, so what we're going to think about here is which foot is going to be our leading foot, okay, to start with. And so when you're playing games or anything like that, usually they'll start with whatever, some will start with a right foot forward or a left foot forward. It's just kind of like what that animator has chosen to do. So all I'm doing here is just selecting the foot, and I'm just kind of like rotating and putting it into place how I think, and I'll go to my foot roll and just bring that foot up. Okay, so I'm going to just put this foot up. So he's getting ready to step down onto that onto that lead foot. Okay, so we're going to make the left foot his lead foot. And then so this back foot, what we'll do is actually send this back. Okay, so from here, if we go to our foot roll, and so this is going to be almost pushing off that toe. Okay, so we're going to set that one to 10. So if we set this back not too far to where the knee is going to start popping on us, and we can fix that once it starts doing that if we notice a knee pop. Okay, so here I like to have those feet kind of in close, and then also usually fairly straight. A little bit of an angle is fine. And then also the hips, okay? So the hips are going to be leading in the direction that they're going. So your hips are going to be, so this is going to be left hip forward, okay? And then we're also going to lean in almost, well, from here we haven't really hit anything yet. So, but I do kind of put a little bit of a lean into that. Okay, and then from here, what we do is we're going to offset our spines. So if we select our spines and the chest, and if we go to E, and then rotate in Y, like so. So then this is going to push this right arm out in front. Okay, so just enough to where we see like we're getting like some counter rotation coming up here. Okay, and then I'll also put a little bit going the opposite way, like so. And then from here, I'm going to select my neck and head, and then I'm going to turn his head so he's facing forward, and then lean his head so he's kind of walking forward. Okay, so right now I'm just selecting objects. I'm not setting any keys or anything like that. I'm just kind of posing. So this is what would be called the posing stage. Okay, so from here, now we can actually bring our clavicle a little forward and up. Okay, so then we'll grab the arm, and this one we'll bring up, not too much, maybe 45 degrees or so. And then the elbow, we'll bring that. This might be kind of really exaggerated, but we'll see how this actually turns out. Okay. So, and then also I'm gonna just kind of relax these fingers. So just selecting these fingers and just kind of rotating. Just trying to look for a more relaxed pose here on the fingers. So I'm going to turn off the joints so I don't see the, actually let's just show and turn off joints. Okay, so then here we can actually just select. All right, I'm going to actually turn off polygons as well. Just, we can still see. So like that. Actually, I want this finger to be out a little more than the pinky. And so this pointer finger, just like that. So this is just mainly just like a more relaxed hand. It's not stiff looking. So like so. And then this one we'll push. So this is going to be our left. And then I'll kind of push this one down a little bit. And then on the left arm, I'll select that and rotate to the back like so. And then also turn this guy. So the X is kind of faced like that. So you can see how this pose is kind of, and then this one also, we can actually rotate that in X as well. So his hand is not so far and just more out. So it's going to be, his hand's still going to swing, but I don't think it's going to be too crazy. So with this, just kind of try and when your hand comes back, it's really not it's not super. It doesn't like swing too far back, but when we walk, you'll see that a lot of walkers kind of walk with their arms out forward, which is actually pretty pretty familiar to most people. So here I'm just grabbing all these. Actually, I'm going to select all these fingers and just rotate them. And then deselect, whoops. So deselect the fingers and just bring these in a little bit more. Deselect these and rotate these. There, so it's just kind of a more relaxed hand. So this is kind of the pose that we're gonna, I'm gonna lean a little more forward in spine 1 and then pick his head up just a little bit. So we have that forward lean. So from this point as well, what we can do is go to our root. Okay, and the root, we're actually going to leave. We're going to leave this one. Well, we're going to start leaning him a little bit more to his left foot. So now once he gets to that left foot, he's going to stay on that left foot. Okay. Once we get to the middle, we kind of will usually stay a little more towards the center. Our weight balance will shift. So from here, so what I'll do is just, I'm going to select all the controls. Okay, so select all of our controls, and then what I'm going to do is say Shift W and Shift E, and then also on the feet, because we have those foot rolls, I'm going to just go to the foot roll. Well, on the feet, I'll probably just add and just say S. So that sets a key on everything. So that sets a key on scale and visibility. And the reason why I don't do that for the others is just so I don't like extraneous keys, because usually when you're working in the graph editor, you just want to see what you're actually, so if you just want to see like translates or whatever, you can also do that here by showing what attributes you are wanting to look for, or show selected attributes. So if you just want to see that, you just go and say, I just want to see translate X or translate Y or whatever. And so you can actually do that here. Actually pretty handy inside the graph editor. So with that, we have that main key set on the 0 frame. Okay, so with all of those objects selected, and we say, why not? Let's just do an S. We'll just hit S, and that will set a key. And that sets a key on everything. Okay, sets a key on all objects, and you'll see if we select that object, you'll actually have a key tick on frame 0, and also the actual control object will have red show up, which means that there is a set key on that frame. Okay, in the bottom right hand corner, this is going to be your geez, I can't think. This is your keyframe toggle. Okay, so this will set a keyframe if you have this. So if you've set a keyframe and you make any adjustment, you go to say frame 15 or whatever, and you move that object, it's going to set a keyframe for you. So it's just an auto key. So having that checked is actually is good. I know some animators don't like to have auto keys turned on, and the reason being is just that they know which key, or where they want that key to happen. So they'll set the keys the way they want set. For this example, we're just going to leave auto key turned on. And so from here, so we've set a keyframe on all of our objects. So just have those all selected. So frame 0. So if you middle mouse drag, and just drag all the way to frame 30. Okay, so frame 30 now has this pose in this on this frame, on frame 30. So now all I have to do is say S, and that will set a keyframe, okay, on exactly, so it's basically going from, so this is going to be my start pose, and this is my end pose. So start to finish, they match, okay, so 0 to 30. So what we need to build now is actually, let me move this foot just a little bit forward. So I'm middle mouse dragging to frame 30 and just hitting S. So, okay, so what I want to do is actually flip this around. So with this pose, we want to basically mirror this pose, and there's many tools that will let you do mirror poses. Like Pose Library is one. There's a few others that actually let you do pose mirroring. But for this example, we're just going to actually just try and do a, we're just going to try and flip this around, okay? So from here, so if I select this guy right here, and if I set a keyframe, or I'm going to actually copy this keyframe, so copy, and then I'm going to go to this one, and then I'm going to set this at 15, and I'm going to paste. Okay, so now what you see is exactly where we want him, just like so, okay? So this one, so if we go back, what we're going to do is select this one and copy, and then go to this one, and then go to frame 15, and we're saying paste. So paste. Let's see. Yep. Okay, so we did get a paste there. Good. So foot roll, we want to be 10. And then also this translate, I want the translate X to be, I believe I want this to be -X. And I do, okay? And then this one, I want to be positive. So now that should match up, okay? So it looks like it's should be matched up. So legs. So if we I'm just left arrow. So the comma and period. So left arrow, comma, or period. So that'll go frame by frame. So frame. So you can see these legs are just are doing what they're supposed to. Okay, so now we'll select the hips, and we'll copy that, and go to frame 15, and then we'll paste. Okay, so right there, what we want is the opposite. Okay, so with the opposite, so we want this to be plus, and then we want this one to be down in, so we want the rotation to be opposite in Z as well. And then that should be correct. So we're getting that rotation. So you can just kind of play and see how that's working right now. So okay, so now obviously what we want to do here as well is go to our root. So yes, root, and then we'll go to frame 0, and we'll copy, and then paste on 15. And this one we're going to want to be in minus. So just minus to flip that. like so. So then we'll be going boom, boom, like that. Looks very robotic now, which is how it's going to look. For right now anyway, we're going to fix all that. Okay. Also for the right foot, let's see. I want this also rotated in this way as well. So I'm actually going to I'm going to tweak this just a little bit. Just like so. All right. So now what we can do is select our spines and the chest. And from here, we'll go to frame 0 and copy. And frame 15, we will paste. And for here, what we're going to do is do the opposite of rotate Y. Okay, so here we'll go rotate Y. We want this to be minus. And we want this one to be minus as well. And we want the chest to be minus on here as well. Like so. And then for the neck, we want the neck looking forward. Neck looking forward. Head looking forward. And just that rotation up like that. Looking forward. Okay? So now what we want to do is grab all these guys and go to frame 0 and copy. And then we're just going to select the opposite of what we just selected. So clavicle, arm, elbow, hand, and then we'll go to frame 15 and then we'll paste. So now we have that front pose. Okay, so now what we can do is go to frame 0 and copy from the left arm, and then we'll select the opposite. So clavicle, arm, elbow, hand, go to frame 15 and do a paste. Let's see, whoops, something's funky. Okay, so frame 15, and then I'll go and I'll paste. All right, that looks correct. All right. So now we're getting this. Yeah, there's some little weirdness going on. So here, I'm actually going to turn that head like that, and then this one. Turn it up like that, and just so he's looking a little more forward. So right here, I'm just kind of looking at how that pose. And actually, we want that, so you'll see, like here, I'm actually going to just kind of rotate him in a little bit. So I'm middle mouse clicking to 30 and setting a frame, and then here I'm just going to rock him the opposite way and just set a keyframe. So then here, like that. So the neck, I just want to make sure there's nothing weird going on with the neck. So this is minus. Actually, I'm just going to copy this. So copy, go to frame 15 and do a paste. And from here, I'm going to just take the negative off. And so we have, and from here on this neck, just do a copy, 15, paste. And this one, we want to be positive 15. And then in the Z, we want to be minus, which should be, there we go. Okie doke. So we have the starting of, we have our basic golden poses, I guess is what you call these. So we have our first, our pose forward for right arm forward, left leg forward, and then 15 is going to be left arm forward, right leg forward. So it's just the opposite pose. So when we create a walk, we just have those front poses. And so usually what I'll do on here is just go to, so this next pose is going to be a down pose. So usually on frame 2, and then so knowing that we're starting left foot forward, at frame 2 we're going to hit that ground, and so we want to put 0 on the foot roll. So that basically plants that foot. Okay, so then we grab that root, and then we also start to go down a little bit. Okay, so it's almost like you're landing and taking the brunt of that force. So it's like boom, you're coming down, and then here our foot is still going to be, so here we'll keep this foot rolled down to 0, and then also I like to put this kind of right in the middle, like we're actually getting ready to stand. Okay, so this is kind of like we're going to place that foot like we're actually coming back up again. And so for this pose, we want, this is going to be our passing, the passing pose. This is called the passing pose. So with this is where we want that bend. Okay, so we put our foot, we'll take out the foot roll and just use the rotation of the foot. And so this will be like right about here. Okay, and I'll probably put the foot maybe back more like so. And then turn the foot in just so that knee is more straight. Just like that. There we go. And then this foot I want to be a little more straight. So I'm going to rotate that guy like that. And from here as well, we'll go to the root. And this root we want to still stay over that foot. Okay, so here I'm just moving that guy back. And then also rotating just to kind of keep that knee out like that. So, and then the hips are actually, this is where we kind of push. We're still kind of pushing up into our hip there. We're almost at the height of that hip. Okay, and then this is where we'll go to our spine, and we'll put, I'll usually 0 this out just to make sure that our frame is, and then I'll kind of lift up a little bit. Okay, so it's like boom. Actually, we want to still face forward, so it's like that. We want that still up. So I'm just going to bring that up just a touch. All right. So this is the middle passing pose here. So with this, we want to actually keep that bend right here as well. So in this pose, we want this arm to still be like that. And this one to be up and rotated. And I'll just bring it a little bit closer in. So we're actually just coming back. Actually, we can, let's do this. That's right. So this is the passing position. So we bring our arm down, and then this is where we can actually, so this one, we want this one to basically lead up because we're coming up and into the next pose. So I'm still bringing this more to the center. Okay, this is more of like a center standing up pose. So that's how you can kind of think about this one. And just want to make sure that that head is more faced. I'm going to zero this out. And then just look up. And just keep that kind of rotated like that. Looks fine. So I'm just kind of looking at this pose just to see how that looks. I'll probably put just a little bit here, so, whoops, not caps lock. So I'm just going to put a little bit of rotation, like that. Actually, that's the opposite. So boom. So this is going to keep our arms. So since we only have this pose next, this is where we want to, and this also needs to be more centered as well. Kind of pushed up like that. Opposite, pushing down. Like that. So this one we're going to go to the halfway point here. So 20. Let's go 23. And so I'm just going to hit S, and then this is going to be opposite. So I want like that, and then I want the hips in Z positive. Like that. So boom. So these hips should be turned more center like that on 8. And then this should be forward. Okay, so I'm just looking. So here we want to actually come down again. So we'll go and select the root. And then here on 17, we want this. So actually just, so frame 2, and then middle mouse click on frame 17 and hit S. And then, so that should place the bounce. So boom, boom. So this I want to be opposite X. So translate X, I want to be, actually I'm going to take away all the translates. Break connection, and then I want the translates, whoops, not break connection, don't want to do that, but I want the translates to be followed here. So we're getting some hitching, but we're going to fix that. So we're still seeing this foot, the blue foot slide as well. So we need to actually fix that. So if we go to this guy, and so frame 8, we have, this frame 8 is going up like that. So what we need to do is copy this, go to this one, and then go to 23 and paste. Let's see. Oh, because my translate. Yes, that's exactly what was going on. So this guy, I don't want to have anything selected in the channel box. Okay, so this, I'll copy that, get the exact keyframes, go to 23 and paste. So that should match, except we want to be minus like that. That's right. Okay, and then so the opposite, we're going to get this, we're going to get, this is going to be our flat. Okay, so if we copy that, then go to the red, and then 23, and then we say paste. Oh, because, yeah, that translate, that's weird. Okay, so this red, yeah, sorry if I'm mixing you up. This is, so like here, so we want the blue frame here. So copy on frame 8, select the red, go to frame 23, and paste. There we go. And we want the rotation to be like so. And we want the foot roll to be 0. And then 17 as well, we want to flatten this foot. So 0. So once he steps, so now we should see I'm getting a hitch. Where am I hitching? So it looks like, let's take a look at the root, see what the root's doing. So the root, okay, so 8, frame 8, we want frame 8 to be the same on 23. So then do I must have a translate. Okay, so translate Y. And we're not getting the same translate Y here. So we want this translate Y and this to be translate Y. So we'll set a keyframe there. But we don't want keyframes on anything else. Just so we can actually select that. So to select that, if you just hold down Shift and left mouse, drag, and then you drag over the keys that you don't want. And I'm just deleting, delete. Okay, so from here, now we just want this translate X. So 2 to 17. So I'm just going to set a keyframe here. So just right click and key selected. So then that should, so if we look at this, okay, I think I can totally see, I have linear settings on my keyframes for some reason, and I don't want that. So I'm going to actually select all these and go to Auto, which is going to spline, should put a spline on everything. And I'm just going to go to my settings and go to animation settings. Okay, so this got set to linear for some reason, and I want default ins and outs as to be spline. So I'm going to save that. That was a former project that I was working on that I had to set that to linear. I was working on some facial stuff, so that looks a little better. Obviously, it's still kind of hitching. We're not really getting, but we can clean this up. We can clean this up. Not a hard cleanup. Like I said, this is going to be fairly fast, fairly quick. But here, we want to have those arms. So these arms we want to be the same as frame 8. So this guy, so I'm just selecting all these. And so here, I want to go to frame 23, or actually we're going to copy frame 8, and then I'm going to select the opposites and go to frame 23 and do a paste. I keep forgetting that I have other stuff selected, or I just have one channel selected. And I need to figure out if that can be turned off, because that's really frustrating. So let's copy that and then select our opposites. Okay, select our opposites and then go to frame 23, do a paste. Okay, I know this arm is not doing that. That's giving me a weird... Let's see, why am I not... Let's go back here. So boom, 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 boom. Let's set a keyframe on 23 and 8, and we'll copy, and then I'm going to select all these guys. And so 8, set a keyframe on 8, and then go to 23 and paste. Yeah, still getting a really exaggerated, because that other arm is not doing that. Where the heck is that coming from? Getting that weird pop. You guys are seeing that, right? So I'm just looking through here to see why I'm getting that weird. It was definitely not the same. That is so super strange here. So this one, actually I'm going to just go, I'm going to delete this frame here from all these. Because I play blasted, I don't want to play blast. Thank you. Let's get rid of that frame. So delete. So I'm just going to select all these and just select this guy and delete. So I just have that frame, first frame, the end frame. So 8 as he's coming back. Oh my gosh, this is really, really strange. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me that this is doing this. It was just the weirdest thing. Like, this frame, it's just doing something all on its own. This is just so strange. So I'm just gonna go through these guys one more time. Set a keyframe on 30, set a keyframe on 0, and then from here I'm going to select the right arm, and from 15, actually I want this 0 frame, so I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to go back to the red channel, and then go to frame 15 and say paste. Wow, I'm getting a really odd sort of rotation on this. It just doesn't really make sense to me. So frame 15, this should be going down this way like that and out like so. So I kind of have to force it to do what. So I'm actually just going to go here, through here, select these guys, and just delete this as well. And so from here, I mean, yeah, this is really, it doesn't make any sense, honestly. There's no keyframes. Why does it just pop? That is really strange. Like I'm gonna look and see if I have any crazy extraneous keys outside of the. I don't think I do. So let's set this to like 200. All right, well, let's do another copy and just go to frame 0. So we'll just set that back to 0. And maybe as you see me struggling with this, you may be encountering the same thing. I hope not. But we're going to fix this because this just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm going to set a new keyframe on 15 and then go to select. Actually, I'm going to copy that and then delete everything. Delete, and then set all these, set all the translates and rotates to 0. Okay, there's no rotational data on that arm. No rotational data. So what we want to do is just go here and paste. Okay, no, I don't want to paste that. Let's just set this. So we'll put this arm forward and turn this one in like so. Bring this forward. All right, so from here, we'll select this, select all those, set a keyframe on 0 and on 30, and then frame 15, we're going to put this arm back and bring this one back like that, and rotate in X, Z, and we want to swing this arm back a little bit like so. Just got to force the pose, obviously. So, okay, there we go. That is just really odd to me that it would do that, but so here, this is where we can kind of exaggerate into the middle of our pose. So here we can put in Y, have that bend still. So here, bring this arm in like that. We want the bend coming back up. So like that. And then the bend we'll put here. So we want this guy coming up. And this one rotated in X and Z. And maybe the elbow is like that. So I'm just looking through here, see where my rotations are. So this guy I want to be coming down. Actually, I want this one leading because he's coming forward. So I want this one a little bit more forward. And then that one's coming down, which is right. So, and then I want this one also coming more down to his side, like that. So this is where kind of the cleanup, just basically throwing those poses in here. So now, if we look at this pose, okay, this is the passing pose. So I'm actually going to straighten him up a little bit, but just like he's leaning this way to, so this one I want to be opposite, going this way. And then I do notice too that I just want to look and see, so our translate X, what our translate X is actually doing. So this, I want these to be smooth, so I'm going to delete those. And then this should be, these should be opposites. So 0.392, this should be minus 392. Okay, good. So this should be going directly from one side to the other, cleanly. It looks like it is. So it looks like we're getting just way too much rotation. Way too much rotation, especially in the hips. So translates, we don't need to really see, so let's go show attributes, select attributes, and let's just go rotate XYZ. So the X, so that just looks like this. Are those two the same? Let's go with 4. This one we want to be at 4. Okay, so those look correct. Rotate Y. There's something weird going on here. So let's get rid of these. We want this one to be down here. Actually, we can delete those. So then that will smooth that curve out. And then here as well, we want to get rid of those. And that should smooth that guy out as well. So I also want to go to my root. And let's see. We're not doing any rotations on that, so what we can do is go to select attributes and just go to our translates. And so this is all we want to see is our translate. Okay, so this, the translate Y, is not looking very clean. So we want this one to stay up. And we want this, so we want actually these two to actually be all stay up like here. Okay, so once we land, and then we actually stay down here. So if we go like that, this just puts a little bit more bounce a little more bounce, like that. Just bounce, bounce. So that looks a little better. We can clean this up just so it's a little more smooth. So I'm going to move this to the right. So then we have, actually, let's go one. All right, so and then also want to look at the feet. So just the transforms. So we want these to match up. So translate Y, translate Z should match. So I'm just watching this foot, how it actually falls. Just more focused on the feet right now. It feels okay. So let's look at this guy. So translate. I was trying to clean up these curves so they're doing, so Y. Let's look at this one, what that Y is doing. And that looks right. So our Z should be like that. So it's basically like, think if we actually took these translate Z's out, so it's just, so front to back, it's just one smooth motion. But then we get this knee pop, so we're going to have to figure out where that's happening. Okay, that's where the knee's popping is right there. So we just want to fix that guy. But I think this is because the rig. Actually, okay, so one way to fix this is to go to the follow and just turn it off, set it to 0. And then I'm going to actually bring it out in space. And then this one. So this rotation should be, let's go show, select attributes. And let's open up the rotates as well. So this is going to be rotate Y. So this one, which is not the right rotation, but let's just check this here. We also have a foot roll going on here. We don't want a foot roll there. Still getting a knee pop. But I think the reason why is this, is that the follow foot is, we want this to all be set to 0. So these two, set those to 0. And then this, we can bring this guy out. Well, it's actually just, I think if I can just go to frame 0, bring that knee pull vector out, set a frame on 30, and then delete all these. So right click and delete. There we go, it looks a little bouncier. Looks a little better. So now if I select this one, go to the Translate Z, get rid of these, just so that's a smoother, and then this one, we'll go to this guy, frame, and turn off the follow foot, and then bring this one out, and set a keyframe on everything, just set a keyframe, just deselect, reselect, go to middle mouse click to 30 and hit S. There we go. So we're starting to get a little better, cleaner look to those feet. Has a nice little bounce in the step. Not really getting, there's a little bit of stretch to the IK, a little bit of pop. It's not too horrible though. Let's go and check out the rotations on the spine. So we want these rotations to be smooth on the Y. So here I'm going to actually go through and just delete those passing pose. Let's see, X. What are we doing here? Let's match what we're doing here. So it's kind of like forward and then rotate Z. What are we doing? We can probably delete those guys. So it should match up. So let's go up to spine 2 and clean these. So we want this to match what we're doing. And rotate Y, we can delete. It's not really making a difference. And rotate Z. Let's see. So this one, we want these two, whoops. So if I'm just selecting and then shift select the far one and then shift select this handle, shift select this handle, not that, just the handles, and then middle mouse dragging up. So then that makes that smooth. Okay, so let's go to chest and we'll look through the rotations. So this guy we want to be the same. And this rotate Y, we can delete these guys, don't need those. Go to rotate Z, and so from here, we just want this to, so it's left mouse drag, shift left mouse drag, shift left mouse drags, shift left mouse drag, and then shift middle, not shift middle, but just middle. And then that should clean that up. Oh, that's backwards. Don't want to go backwards. So for these arms, what we can do here, let's go and just select these arms. So one thing I like to do with the arms is select all these in the arms. Okay, so if you select all these and then you go to, so right here is going to be, shoot, that's not what I wanted. So curve, pre-infinity, cycle, and then curves, post-infinity, cycle. And then we turn on view infinity. So now we don't need the translates for this, so I'm actually going to go select attributes, turn off the translates because we don't need those. So all we can see are the rotations. So then here we can select those keys, and if I hit W, hold down the shift key, and then left mouse drag left and right. So this is where we can offset. Okay, so I'm just offsetting by one frame actually. So it's just way too much rotation, looks like to me. So like here, so I'm going to take this elbow, so it just looks like it's just way too much rotation coming up, like this right here. I don't really want that much, so I'm going to actually take out quite a bit. And then go back to frame 0 and Shift E, that will be the same. So I'm going to take this one out, so delete. So I don't want this either, 26, so I'm going to delete that as well. And his arm's actually swinging out way too far too here. This is way too far. Sometimes I like to exaggerate to see what I'm looking at. So actually I'm going to go through, just make sure these are all selected. And then actually I want to, let's see, I'm going to undo. So I think what I did, I was still, okay, so I want to move this back. So it looked like I had actually made quite a few. So with this, we're going to just take out all that rotation forward and him swinging his arm up. Just didn't look very natural. So just these two, and then go to frame, middle mouse click 30 and hit S, and then I'm going to take out the 7 and the 23. So delete. There we go. Still kind of swings around, has a weird swing. So like here, if I go here and just rotate that down like that, that'll should clean that up. And then this one, we don't want that swing there either. So rotate in Z. So that rotate Z should, so we want these to be flat. And we can bring that down. It looks a little better. So I'm just looking at these keyframes. Just want those to be smooth. These don't really, I don't think that really makes that big of a difference for that on the X. Maybe it does. Let's check. Yeah, it's not too bad. So here, and this might be back a little far, but I'm gonna actually still roll with this. But here I am going to bring this down and less rotation. And less rotation that way. So I want that arm to just kind of be still kind of dropped low. So I'm going to delete this one, delete, and middle mouse, let's delete that one. So 24, I'll just kind of leave that like that. And then 8, we want this one to be down as well. But this, we want this rotation to be, we don't want so much rotation. So we can do a little bit of offshoot or over. So this one, I'm actually going to bring this so it kind of follows a little more. And then this one we can actually put a little bit more, a little forward there. So boom, boom, like so. Let's try and do that to the other one as well. So here, okay, so I'm just doing a double check. On these I want to be flat. So I'm just changing those to linear. And then, so that should, so if we select this guy right here, so here, I want to come more back, and then this one a little forward. This comes a little forward fast. So I'm also noticing I have way too much rotation going in the Z. So I want to fix that. So rotate Z. I want to select this guy and just find the medium, and then I'm just scaling. So I just hit R. Actually, I'm going to undo, and I'm going to select all. Let's see. So rotate Z, rotate Z, rotate Z, and then frame all that. And then so from here, now if I select, kind of go in the middle of all three, and then if you hold down Shift, and then middle mouse, and then pull down, so if you pull down on an empty space, why is it, does it not let me do, okay, well I thought you used to be able to do that, but, so let's just frame that, go to about the middle point, and then middle mouse drag, just to kind of tone that down a little bit. So it's just not as much. So just selecting the whole thing, middle mouse dragging in the middle. So now he's not leaning so much into the walk. So it's just kind of it's a simple walk cycle. Let's just make sure. So here, I rotate Y. Let's look at the rotate Y here. Actually, I'm going to just rotate him up. I'm just selecting, so just so he's more upright. But I want him still leaning forward there. So if we do a show none and then show polygons, kind of see what our guy is doing in his walk. So there's the reason why we're getting that pop is just because the Z is really high on the root. And so what we want to do is just show all and go to the root and then go to our translate Z. So select attributes, go to all the translates. Actually, we could just go to translate Z, turn all this off, and we'll just take a look at our translate Z, or translate Y actually. So select attributes, translate Y. So let's just look at that translate Y. So this, it just looks like it's way too high. So that's why we're getting that weird pop. So let's just move him down. So, and then this just looks looks a little much. So I'm just selecting these to smooth that out, smooth that drop. And it looks like I can actually go a little bit higher here. I'm just going to move one frame going this way. There we go. So let's go show, none, show polygons. All right, so after that really long, convoluted, try to figure out what the heck's going on. We'll get a nice foot flop. Looks okay. That the hands, we could tweak those hands just so they're a little bit smoother. So let's actually bring those curves up and just look at these hands. We don't really have any keyframes on the hands. So what I like to do is maybe just rotate. Well, we'll start in rotate Y. So just select that and rotate Y. And then frame 30. So a lot of this too is kind of feel like you kind of look and see like what the hand's doing. So it's falling back. Boom. And then this one kind of push back like this. Like that. Boom, boom. So then you get kind of like a boom, boom. So you look at his hand. Just looking at his hand here. So we'll do the same here. So this looks like there's some rotations on here already. So just want those to match up. So this one I want to be behind. This one I want to go forward. So boom, boom. There we go. So for that, I do like to actually go show, select all the rotations, and then just go through here and see, take a look. So this, we want these to actually flow the right way. So I'm just turning these cycles on so I can see how that cycles. So if you turn those on, you can see the in and outs. And then you can adjust that just so it's smoother. You don't get hitches as like obviously there's a hitch right here. So we just want to make sure that that's no longer a hitch. So we'll just flatten that. And this looks like it's flowing. So we'll just kind of tweak that just so it's a little bit smoother. Flatten that out. So let's go show, turn off curves. So you can kind of see, there you go, simple walk cycle, kind of smooth, looks smoother. So, all right, if you were able to make it through this, gold star for you on your forehead. Thanks for following along with me, watching me struggle through this. Getting had some weirdness going on. So it was a good thing that those things happened, so you can actually see that it's possible to get through. So sometimes you think you're going to get through something pretty fast, and then you run into an error or something, user error usually, at least on my part, that happens. So there's always a way to get out of it and actually find a solution. Maya is really powerful and a really great tool. There's a lot of really great tools inside of Maya, especially for animation. And so if you find animating a lot of fun, this is a good primer for you. So next piece, what we'll do is we'll do a quick little lighting setup, and we will go through a quick render with Arnold, and then I'll show you. We'll take that render and we'll just have a nice little walk cycle that we can show our friends and family, or however you want to use this piece. So, all right, thanks. One thing I forgot to add here on the end is to save our scene file. Okay, so what you want to do is go to wherever you're saving your work. So I'll go to my D drive and work and Maya, and from here I will call this sphere biped underscore walk. So this keeps the reference. So the sphere biped, it's using the sphere biped file that we have at the spherebiped.ma file, and then the walk is just referencing that file. So we're just animating the control curves from there. So once we save that, we should be good to go. All right, thank you.